Hello, my name is Dr. Rand Brandis. I'm the Martin Luther Stevens Professor of English here at LR, and I'm also the Director of the Visiting Writer Series, the program that is bringing Colson Whitehead to campus in September. The chapter that I'm going to be talking about today from the Underground Railroad is called Indiana, and I was given that chapter, I think, because I grew up in southern Indiana. And as a matter of fact, the home that my grandparents lived in was part of the Underground Railroad. Now, they didn't own it when it was part of the Underground Railroad. A very famous abolitionist named Stephen Selwyn Harding lived in that house, but he was an avid abolitionist, very zealous. And when I was growing up in southern Indiana, we would sleep over in that house, and the closets had fake tops. There was a secret entrance into the attic with straw still up there. And there was even a tunnel under the house where the slaves on the Underground Railroad could hide. So, now one of the other things that happens in here, there are a number of themes. Probably the most important theme in the Indiana section is the growing of Cora's awareness, her consciousness of the world and her understanding of the world. And a lot of that happens as she becomes more fluent. She's learning to read at the farm. She understands the importance of inflection, how dialect works. She has access to a number of books, and actually another one of the important scenes in the book is when John Valentine is talking to Cora in the library at the end. But the whole idea of the library of knowledge, of books as being a source of power and one way that African Americans could move ahead in terms of acquiring relative freedom. Now, the Valentine Farm itself is a utopian community. That means it's a kind of an ideal community, a vision of an ideal community, what it would have looked like in the United States at that time, where you would have interracial people and white people and people of color living together harmoniously, working together, a very strong work ethic on the farm. In fact, in the book itself, it says that the farm became a symbol of what is described as colored uplift. Some of the characters in the book talk about the farm being a miracle. So this whole idea that it came out of nowhere and it was so improbable and it was just so fantastic. Others, towards the end, talk about the farm as a delusion, that it's not a utopian community. It's really a false hope. And then some of the white characters in the book, by extension, see what's going on in the farm in terms of community organizing and the strengthening and coming together of the black population as a dangerous aberration. The other theme related to that, and going back to what I said about the presentness of the past in the story, is that there are numerous places in this chapter where they talk about, well, slavery was one thing. Being physically oppressed and abused is one thing, but to not be physically abused, but to bring that abuse with you, that trauma with you, and in terms of a mental slavery. One of my favorite Bob Marley lines is emancipate yourself from mental slavery. So we have this, how even though you're free physically, how do you become free mentally? And that is a discussion there, and the relation between mental slavery and human dignity. So when you look at this chapter, I would encourage you to spend some time with it. It's got some great writing in it, especially in the very beginning when it talks about the beauty and power of language. And I think that this is one of the things that Colson Whitehead is really good at, which separates this book from other books that you might read, is just how outstanding and how fluent and fluid the language is. It really, in moments, seems as if the book is being read to you. So that's my take on Indiana. You're getting it from someone who grew up in southern Indiana, who had been in a house that was part of the Underground Railroad, and I wish you luck with the rest of your reading.